For nearly 80 years, Japan has lived under one of the strictest pacifist constitutions in history. Article 9 renounced war and limited Japan's military to self-defense. But now, Japan is dramatically increasing defense spending. It is acquiring long-range strike missiles. It is deepening its military alliance with the United States. And the once taboo discussion about revising or even scrapping Article 9 is growing louder. Is Japan quietly ending its post-war pacifism and reawakening as a major military power in Asia? Tonight, 5 retired spies give their brutally honest opinions. Let's begin. Back with us tonight, Texas Buck, McCoy Colonel Dimitri the Bear, Volkov, Madame Li Wei, Sir Reginald Hawthorne, Lucas, the Vault Brunner. 5 retired spies, 5 very different worldviews. First round, what is actually happening with Japan's military reawakening right now? First round, simple and direct. What is actually happening with Japan's military reawakening right now?
Japan is finally waking up. After decades of strict pacifism, it is dramatically increasing defense spending, acquiring long-range missiles, and deepening its alliance with the United States. The once taboo discussion about revising Article 9 is now mainstream. This is a direct response to China's growing military threat. Japan is becoming a serious strategic partner in the Indo-Pacific. This is excellent news for the free world.
China understands Japan's security concerns. The question is whether Japan's military normalization remains defensive or gradually evolves into strategic containment of China. That distinction matters greatly for regional stability. Beijing watches that evolution very carefully. While every country has the right to defend itself, Japan's moves are increasing tension in the region.
We hope Japan will act with restraint and respect the post-war peace constitution. Peace and stability in East Asia require mutual respect, not an arms race. Japan is shedding its pacifist skin. It is reforming quickly and moving closer to America. This is a strategic shift that changes the balance in Asia. Every nation claims rearmament is defensive. History suggests neighbors rarely believe them. Japan's rearmament is a reaction to China, but it also creates new risks for the entire region.
Oh, how fascinating. The country that once renounced war forever is now quietly building long-range missiles and talking about changing its famous peace constitution. One does wonder if the old pacifist is finally growing tired of being Asia's quiet neighbor. It's all rather dramatic for Japan, a nation that usually prefers subtlety.
From a neutral perspective, Japan is undergoing a significant shift in its security policy. Defense spending is rising sharply, new military capabilities are being acquired, and the interpretation of Article 9 is being stretched. This reflects growing concern about regional security dynamics. The change is real, but it remains within the framework of self-defense for now.
Article 9 was written for 1945. We don't live in 1945 anymore.
Many countries in Asia remember exactly why Article 9 existed in the first place.
Constitutions survive only will. Reality allows them to.
History has a nasty habit of ignoring paperwork.
The challenge is adapting security policy without creating new regional instability.
Let's go deeper. Who benefits most from Japan's military reawakening and who loses?
Japan's reawakening clearly benefits the free world. A strong Japan is the best counterweight to Chinese military pressure in Asia. Beijing spent years expanding its military, pressurizing its neighbors, and pushing territorial claims. Now those neighbors are responding. That's not provocation, that's deterrence. America gains a powerful, reliable ally with advanced technology and a critical strategic location. The Indo-Pacific becomes more balanced and secure. The only losers are those who hoped China would dominate the region without resistance. This shift is long overdue.
China did not create this situation alone, but Washington has actively encouraged deeper military alignment throughout the region. Many countries now view security through bloc politics rather than regional cooperation. Once alliance structures harden, mistrust becomes much more difficult to reverse.
Li Wei, Japan is rearming because of China's aggressive actions in the East China Sea and around Taiwan. Don't pretend this is unprovoked.
China can accept a stronger Japan more easily than a Japan fully integrated into an anti-China military framework. Military capability is not the core issue. Strategic intent is. Once countries begin viewing one another exclusively through military lenses, cooperation becomes much harder to sustain.
Japan is playing a clever but dangerous game. It benefits by strengthening its position and gaining American support. But it also risks provoking China and creating a more volatile environment. Russia is watching this shift carefully. This could lead to new alliances and new conflicts.
Oh, how fascinating. Japan spent 80 years convincing the world it had retired from military history. Now history appears to have politely invited it back. Japan benefits by becoming a proper strategic player again. America gains a strong partner in Asia. China loses its comfortable regional dominance. Europe watches with a mixture of admiration and quiet nervousness. It's all rather dramatic, like watching a very polite nation suddenly decide it's had enough of being polite.
From a neutral perspective, this shift creates both opportunities and risks. Japan gains greater security and strategic autonomy. However, rapid militarization increases the potential for miscalculation with China. The key question is whether deterrence strengthens stability or accelerates an arms race. Careful diplomacy by all parties will be essential.
China's island building and military pressure forced Japan to rearm. You can't blame the victim for defending itself.
Security dilemmas are dangerous because both sides believe they are acting defensively. Yet both sides often feel less secure as a result.
Every nation claims rearmament is defensive. History suggests neighbors rarely agree.
While you all argue about who started it, Japan is quietly turning itself into a proper military power again. How very pragmatic of them.
The challenge is ensuring deterrence strengthens stability rather than accelerating confrontation.
Strong and passionate debate. Let's move on to what might happen next. Let's look ahead. What do you predict will happen in the coming years with Japan's military reawakening?
I predict Japan will continue rapidly strengthening its military capabilities. It will acquire more long-range strike weapons and deepen its alliance with the United States. The Quad will become a much stronger security framework. Japan will play a leading role in countering Chinese influence in the Indo-Pacific. Japan will play a much larger strategic role in regional security. A strong Japan makes Asia more balanced and secure.
I predict Japan will continue expanding its capabilities while remaining formally committed to self-defense. The challenge will be preventing strategic competition from becoming permanent hostility. China and Japan are too economically interconnected to sustain endless confrontation. Practical cooperation will remain necessary despite growing rivalry.
I predict Japan will keep reperforming while trying to balance relations with Russia and China. It will become a more independent and assertive military power. This changes the strategic balance in Northeast Asia. The risk of miscalculation with China will grow. Japan is no longer content to remain a defensive-only nation.
I predict Japan will continue its quiet but determined rearmament with typical Japanese efficiency. It will acquire advanced weapons, deepen its alliance with America, and slowly stretch the meaning of Article 9. Europe will watch with a mixture of admiration and quiet nervousness. It's all rather impressive, and slightly...
I predict Japan will continue its gradual but significant shift toward a more active security posture. Defense spending will keep rising. New capabilities will be acquired. However, this will also increase the potential for tension with China. The challenge is avoiding unnecessary escalation.
Li Wei, Japan is rearming because of China's aggressive actions around Taiwan and the Senkaku Islands.
Competition between major powers does not automatically require confrontation. The challenge is preventing security concerns from becoming self-fulfilling threats.
Japan is smart. It refuses to remain weak in a dangerous neighborhood.
While you debate who started it, Japan is quietly turning itself into a proper military power again. How very pragmatic of them.
Strong responses. Let's move to the darkest possibility, the worst-case scenario. Let's be honest. What is the true worst-case scenario regarding Japan's military reawakening?
The worst-case scenario is a direct military clash between Japan and China over the Senkaku Islands, or Taiwan. Two major powers with advanced militaries and deep mistrust going to war. The conflict could quickly draw in the United States. Supply chains for semiconductors and critical goods would collapse. Global markets would panic. This could become the spark for a larger great power war in Asia. Japan's rearmament is necessary, but the risks are extremely high.
The greatest danger is miscalculation. Military buildups create assumptions. Assumptions create fear. Fear creates escalation. Once that cycle begins, leaders can lose control of events surprisingly quickly. This would destabilize the entire East Asia region. Economic cooperation would collapse. Millions could suffer from disrupted trade and supply chains. This dangerous path must be avoided through wise diplomacy.
The worst case is Japan fully returning and becoming America's frontline base against China. This turns Northeast Asia into a permanent confrontation zone. Proxy conflicts and naval incidents increase. The risk of miscalculation between nuclear powers grows dramatically. Japan's rearmament changes the strategic balance, not always for the better.
For the region and the world, the worst case is Japan and China sliding into open conflict. Two proud nations with deep historical grievances facing off with modern weapons. Energy prices would skyrocket. Europe and America would be dragged into someone else's neighborhood quarrel. It's all rather exhausting to watch, really. One does hope cooler heads prevail before the map is redrawn with fire.
The worst case scenario is a serious Japan-China conflict destabilizing the entire Asia-Pacific. Global supply chains for semiconductors, rare earths, and critical components would be severely disrupted. Financial markets would face extreme volatility. Smaller Asian nations would be caught in the crossfire. Recovery from such a major confrontation would take years and cost enormously. Preventing escalation through careful diplomacy is critical.
The nightmare is China underestimating Japan's willingness to fight.
The nightmare is nationalism replacing diplomacy.
The nightmare is America and China being dragged into direct confrontation.
The nightmare is 80 years of peace ending because nobody wanted to appear weak.
The nightmare is escalation moving faster than leaders can control.
Final round. One strong personal verdict from each of you.
I think Japan's military reawakening is long overdue and extremely positive. The strategic environment in Asia has changed dramatically, and Japan is adapting to that reality. America should fully support this shift. Pacifism was noble after World War II, but today's threats require real strength. That is my honest view.
I reckon Japan is doing what an irresponsible power would do, strengthening itself in a dangerous neighborhood. It refuses to remain weak. Whether it leads to stability or greater tension depends on how easily Japan and China manage their rivalry. That is what experience has taught me.
In my view, Japan's security concerns are real. China's security concerns are also real. The challenge for both nations is ensuring strategic competition remains manageable. Stability in East Asia will depend less on military strength and more on political wisdom. That is my sincere belief.
Quite frankly, Japan's strategic transformation is one of the most significant developments in Asia today. Japan is rearming with typical Japanese efficiency and quiet determination. It's all rather impressive and slightly unsettling, One does hope this reawakening leads to greater stability rather than new tensions. That is my honest take.
From a neutral perspective, Japan's military reawakening is a significant strategic shift. It strengthens deterrence in the region but also increases the potential for miscalculation with China. The key challenge will be managing this transition without triggering unnecessary escalation. A stable and secure Japan benefits the entire Asia-Pacific. That is my personal assessment.
Another powerful discussion from the Retired Spies Club. 5 retired spies sharing their honest opinions on Japan's military reawakening. Which spy's verdict resonated with you the most? Drop it in the comments and tell us why. If you enjoy these deep geopolitical conversations, subscribe and join the club. New episode coming soon. This is Cheesy Bond signing off. Stay sharp, stay thoughtful. We'll see you next time.